and made about $300. That was pretty cool.
It's not bad.
Insider trading.
It's not insider trading, it's public knowledge. I just went on Google.
Public insider knowledge. Public knowledge insider.
Well, listen, guys, I don't know if you know this, but we are definitely recording now. So, welcome to the first installment of Peeps Podcast. We're not really sure on the name, but yeah, that's about it. What do you?
All right, so let's start off with what we would like to call the copyright debacle.
Okay.
So there was a previous video that was up, right? Was there not?
Yes. So we tried this last week, and we were just fooling around, messing with OBS and all the systems, trying to get everything working properly. And unfortunately, I decided to use some nice stock images because I searched for stock images.
Now, can you
royalty-free stock images?
Since we can't have those in here, right?
Yes.
Could you maybe go through it and just describe each scene in great detail?
So the first scene
to just give that guy the middle finger, you know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. So the first scene was a picture of a beach that was calmly brushing the waves against the sand, and it was about 4 p.m. I'm guessing, and I want to say that the beach was maybe Southern California.
Oh, that's very pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, if I'm going to be honest, I think what happened was the auto player started playing, and then it went to another set of stock images that were all pictures of Seoul, and that's the one that fucked me up. So what we should have done is we should have played Rocket League a lot sooner, because there's also Rocket League in that, and they don't copyright strike.
Yeah. Well, they want their game to get more publicity, so.
Yeah, that's true.
It makes sense that they wouldn't.
Mm-hmm. So I got a real question to kick off this podcast, right? So let's just get a tally of the room. Who here would eat ass?
Wait, what?
I mean, absolutely. I have a bidet in my bathroom.
Yeah, that's great and everything. I'm just curious. Like me personally, I wouldn't eat ass unless if I know I'm getting something from it. But I'm just talking any random girl, at least in your standards, would you eat ass?
Well, I guess the real question is, where had she been?
Yeah, you're right. Because if she's right after work, no.
Yeah, no. I'm not eating ass.
Let's just say after a shower, perfect conditions,
What did you have for lunch?
A Caesar salad.
With or without the dressing?
With absolutely with the dressing, of course.
Anchovies. Because the last thing you want is a fishy asshole.
Well, I don't think it would affect it, but me personally, I'm not experienced in the art of eating ass, so I wouldn't know.
I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I have not eaten ass, but
yeah, me neither.
What?
The thing is that I'd be willing to try it. For research purposes.
Yeah, for research.
Yeah, no. I mean, if I'm gonna be honest. Never had the need to do so, because the thing.
Well,
is,
no one needs it,
Right. No one even asks for it,
No one asks for it.
That's true.
It's more of just like a commodity, you know what I mean? Just kind of it's a luxury.
It's in the moment,
You gotta save it for special occasions.
It's a happy anniversary, honey. Now let me eat your asshole.
Right?
Oh man.
This reminds me of boat conversations.
A boat that's what I'm good at.
So when you're out at sea for extended periods of times, you tend to have conversations with people that you just don't forget.
Oh, we completely forgot. We should probably introduce ourselves. I'm Gemini, and you guys are?
Wait. When we introduce yourself, can you just say whether or not you eat ass?
Yes.
So like I'll go with I'm gnarly, and I don't usually do it, but I have eaten ass.
Okay.
So you eat ass.
Mm.
He's gnarly and he eats ass.
He's
All right.
gnarly- he's gnarly.
Welcome,
He's-
gnarly.
It looks like Jameis has entered the ring.
Love you.
I can tell.
I love you. My name is
Jay
James.
Mays.
I do
and
not
He's
eat
currently eating ass.
What's up, folks?
Jameis, introduce yourself to the podcast.
I am Jay Mays. I work in a very specialized section of quality assurance as a living. What?
So the
Do you eat ass?
the question that Swayze wants to posit to everybody is whether or not you eat ass.
Oh, I think this was on our Notion board. Let me pull that up.
Was it really?
Quality assurance. You need to start asking these questions if you're QA.
All right. I'm not QA, by the way. I'm still part of management on the production side. I work with
Okay.
QA, though. So one of the topics that we had was what makes us horny? Has it changed as we have aged?
Oh yeah, that's true. You did put that there.
I did put that there. And I'll say
Crustaceans.
there was something pretty invigorating and enticing about butt play.
Foot play.
You say foot or butt play?
But I'm answering your question from earlier.
Okay.
Who doesn't want to play with a butt?
That's true. Butts are magical things.
Yeah, they're just assholes.
Swayze, introduce yourself to the podcast.
Hey, so I'm Swayze and I don't eat ass.
So, like, is that like you will never ever eat ass, or you haven't eaten ass?
I haven't currently, and I don't plan on it unless if like the circumstance is gonna be like beneficial for me. You know, like I have to be getting something from it to be, you know, I don't know, to
Yeah, you
get down and dirty with that.
Well, I would imagine that if you're eating ass, there's going to be some reciprocations involved.
Well, yeah, but like, so if you're saying reciprocation, like I don't really particularly want my ass eaten, so like, I don't know. I guess
I'm just
that
saying, like,
reciprocation doesn't sound very good to me.
They might go the extra mile, pretty much. Is what.
Yeah, they might give you the reach around.
So
if they're eating
what?
the ass.
What would constitute a beneficial situation where you're like, all right, I'll do it?
So say she's like a 10 out of 10, right? And
You're
like,
putting numbers into this.
she's like, oh, if you eat my ass, I'll fucking suck your dick. And like, there's no other way for that to happen but me eating ass. Like I might eat ass. But like,
All right. Well, what if you have two fives? You have to eat one of the booties, and the other one is sucking you off at the same time.
well, so we got. I hate to change topics,
Is the sum greater than the whole?
but so here's my question
well,
to
there's
you
two
guys,
holes in
right?
this case.
So on the 1 to 10 scale for hotness, do you consider 5 average or do you consider 7 average?
That's actually a good thing to bring up there, because like your average person,
Should be
Everybody-
a 5.
everyone would probably hook up with the average person, realistically.
Mm-hmm.
You know what?
The
That's a good
average
point.
the average man would say, yeah, a 5. I'm on board with a 5.
They should.
But
but
if
that's
you
the
go,
problem.
if
It's
I'm like
flawed.
if someone set me up with somebody, I'm like, how's she look, you know? And they're like, she's solid 5. I'll be like, eh.
So-
you know what I mean? And
For
I
me,
think with the
so-
numbers, it's not based on average. It's just based on the quality overall. So
yeah,
overall average, I think, would be 7.
So that doesn't make any sense though, because average should be 5. 5's right in the middle of the spectrum.
Well, we're talking about average on population, not an average between 1 and 10.
he's got a point. He's got a point. If everyone takes a test and the lowest grade is a 50%, your average is not going to be 50%. Your average is going to be like, you know, probably like what, 80 or whatever, however good people do.
So basically,
Yeah, but I'm
what
just going
Jameis
sheer
is saying-
percentages.
Yeah.
What Jameis is saying is that there's a redeeming quality to all women, and that
Yeah, but what's the point of having the scale, right? So we have a scale 1 through 10, right? So if you have 5 as average, someone that's a 10 is a fucking fox, right? Like it means a lot if you're a 10 on a scale like that. Whereas if everyone's a 7 or everyone that's average is a 7, a 10 is not as big of a deal.
So there's two ways to look at average in this type of way. When you go on the scale, actually, let me rephrase it. So if you want to talk about population-wise, and or we'll say hotness, you can say like an average-looking person. Hold on, I'm skipping this round. I'll be back.
All right. I'll take that as a win.
Okay, so here's the thing. I think it all depends on how you rate yourself. Because if you rate yourself as a 5, you'll probably be more likely to be like, 5 is average, right? And then you're basing it off of an internal scale that is based off of a standard deviation distribution. Now, if you believe to be a 7, if you believe yourself to be a 7, then you're probably going to more likely say that 7 is the average. And then your distribution, you're basing your scale off of a grading system, because only here in the States, well, in general, 70 is like, the average score. It's a C. So it's like it's that kind of system you have in your mind. So I guess the question to Swayze is, do you rate yourself more as a 5 or more as a 7?
I'd at least say I'm at least a 6.5.
Okay.
All right, I think I got it straightened out in my head. So if you let's take a mental photo of one woman as a 1 through a 10. So it's of the same woman going from really bad looking to really good looking.
Wait, it's the same woman?
Same woman.
So how does she
The-
go through this metamorphosis?
Through the imagination, all right? Or pick 10 different women and place numbers 1 through 10 on them.
Oh
7
my god. I figured it
is-
out.
7 is going to be probably the most common. Like we'll have more women of the population that fall into the 7 category than the 5. So even though like the average woman falls in a 7 for population and looks, on just this graph, the average is technically a 5 since it's right in the middle. But we just have more that fall into 7. Same like opening a bag of M&Ms. You're going to have more of different colors, and even though they actually all taste the same. But if the colors were rated by how well they taste, one color just might be more dominant in all the bags, and that color would be like the 7 best tasting flavor. But it just pops up more in the bag.
So,
Yeah, I don't agree with that. Like, I understand what you were saying. I don't agree with
Right.
it, though.
Right, and what you're saying is because there's such a huge population of 7s, it actually shifts the scales where they would actually be a 5.
Right.
But there is a criteria to be a 7 and a criteria to be a 5. So we have more people meeting the criteria for a 7.
So that's everyone's personal criteria, right?
Right, you're right. It's all your personal.
Someone's 7 could literally be a 5.
It could be
So-
someone else's 5.
Take
Or
a look
someone's
at the
10.
chat. Actually, no, I'm gonna post this in dank memes.
okay. I'll check it out in just a second.
Is it the video the guy did?
No, this is a picture.
Let's see. See the thing. Oh, wow! There's an actual scale and everything.
Yeah. I'm kind of in agreement with this scale.
Oh, I wish you
man, so I
made.
gotta
I
open-
wish you gave me a bigger. GIF.
Same here.
Image, yeah.
Right,
Well, you can
open-
open the original.
It's the same size.
So on this scale, what it looks to me is a 6 is pretty average.
It looks to me that all the 4s are Karens. They all have the same bob.
Hey, you gotta make sure you put this picture in your podcast.
So Nope.
No.
So
no,
another
no.
thing about the scale, it looks like for some things they use age as a factor. Like nines are all really young, but when you get to like threes and twos, they use some older people as well. And same with fours.
So if you look in the 9 section and you go 3 to the right, the girl with the glasses, she looks like a Karen for sure, though.
With 3 to the right, she doesn't look like a Karen. She looks like a Karen to be.
Yeah.
Right, she just hasn't got married yet and had kids.
Can we call them kits? Karen's in training.
Yeah, Kit.
Yeah, she's kidded.
She's kidded.
And then in the 6th section, the girl with the glasses in the 6th section, all the way to the right,
Yeah,
she looks like she watches a lot of anime.
she does.
Yeah.
Now,
Well, yeah,
now
'cause she's doing that like typical like pose, you know, like
so let me ask you this: because she liked anime, did that put her from a 5 to a 6, or from a 7 to a 6?
I'd say that puts
Or-
her from a 5 to a 6. In my
So she
opinion.
jumped up.
Yeah, I mean,
because of
well,
that.
if we're
In your
factoring in
opinion.
personalities, yeah, absolutely.
but you can show your personality in your looks a little bit too, and like your
Right.
facial
Well, she
expressions. So that
clearly-
plays
yeah.
into it.
That does make
This,
sense.
this is.
I don't know. The problem with this is that it's all very subjective. Because
Right.
you know, like if you look at this list, I wonder, can I put this on this list? Let's see. There we go. It's on the stream. Okay, so here's the thing, right? Look at all the nines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of the nines are of a certain region in the world, and so immediately I would disagree with that.
Yeah, they're all white. Every single one of them's white.
Oh, I thought the bottom row, third from the left, is Asian.
maybe.
Yeah.
Oh
and-
yeah. Yeah,
and she has,
there's
she
one
has-
minority.
And also the first one, she some sort of Latin descent.
Wait, where?
Yeah, I
The-
can see that.
The first one, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, she's
Oh
Hispanic.
yeah.
Yeah. All right, but here's the thing, right? I'm pretty sure if these pictures are real up in the ones, I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure
they're
they're not
pretty-
real. They look like
They're all
Photoshop.
photoshopped.
Honestly, I feel like 1 through 3 all just blends together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you
Mhm.
could just mix those up and they'd be like, yep.
Yeah, it wouldn't really matter.
Yeah. No.
So now
Let's talk about the 2 section and like 5 to the right, right? That's a dude. Y'all didn't even notice. There's a dude
Oh.
in here. So this guy who wrote
I
this
saw him.
is like, oh, this guy's a 2. You know?
What about 2 from the left for number ones?
Yeah, that one's.
Yeah, that one.
Sounds scary.
That one's a bit wild.
I mean, it's small, so I can't really see that well.
Yeah.
now under 4, there's a little disclaimer there. It says form below hygiene is not taken into account as it is automatically assumed to be appallingly bad. The female matches the criteria for 1 through 4. They are automatically that level regardless of ability to dress, hygiene, etc. They put some thought into this.
Oh, that can be kind of mean, though.
I think they spent
Man.
more time on this than they should have. They could have done something productive.
And
instead
notice
of
like
this.
the category titles, like 1 is absolutely hideous and 2 is humorously unattractive. So like a little bit of humor will bump you up from a 1 to a 2. Yeah.
So does that bump you up from a 1 to a 2?
Oh,
like- Maybe. You know, I'm looking at that girl with the nose, you know. She could smell you from a mile away.
But like I feel like the person who made this is probably a MGTOW. Because he's like completely objectifying like everything in this.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. There's no way you could make this this chart and not be objectify somebody.
Yeah. But
But also on the bottom right, it's version 1.0, which implies that hey, this might get updated.
I'll be sure to check the 4chan.
This was 5 years ago. Posted on Reddit. So
is that the hot crazy guy?
maybe
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen this video.
Yeah, this
I
video is
figured
so
you have.
old. Yeah, well, if you go here and you got to make sure that you're below this current line.
Oh, yeah. Everyone knows the hot crazy matrix. That's golden.
Oh yeah.
No, that's classic.
It-
That's as
it
classic
was just
as Homestar
relative.
Runner. No. Oh my god.
Oh, Raph,
Well, yeah, he does look like the
you're
Seinfeld
gonna
guy,
have
huh?
you're gonna have to edit that out, Raph.
No, you can get away with like clips like that.
Yeah, as
Did
long
you
as
learn-
it's under 10 seconds or something, I think it's.
Did you learn that in
copyright.
copyright school?
I did learn that in copyright school.
I learned
Okay.
that in 9th grade government.
I
I don't know what that has to do with government, but
Yeah.
Oh, can I
what
be
are
the
they
soundboard
teaching
guy
us?
then? Since we got the 10-second rule.
Yeah, you're good. You can.
No, nothing overly loud, please.
Don't tell me that.
Please, it just hurts my ears.
Jameis.
Oh, one thing that we got to do yesterday was tell our daughter that she's autistic.
oh, that's horrible.
Oh no.
How did that go?
It went fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, she didn't really
Is
seem to
she
care.
is she high functioning?
Very high functioning.
Okay, so yeah, that's not a horrible thing.
No, it's a whole thing. It's just to make her aware. And there's a chance she got it from me, and that I might, which is why I don't like the loud sounds blasting in my ear.
Mm-hmm.
Makes
Because
sense.
she has the same things, like certain pitches and frequencies and stuff.
You know,
Right.
I don't know how true it is, but I heard that Einstein was a high functioning autist.
Probably. With high function, you probably wouldn't notice until you start paying very, very close attention.
Yeah.
So the person that brought it to our attention is my wife's cousin, who deals with children with different disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
And after she brought it to her attention about our daughter, which I've known that part of the family for about 5 years, up until we had our daughter, and they came up with that conclusion. They always thought the same thing about me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, that makes sense.
Right.
But she took it fine. We played some clips of Sesame Street because they created a autistic girl and stuff like that, just so she can watch and see what an autistic person is like with Muppets, and then ask her questions about it and stuff. Tell her why the girl's that way and stuff. Go into explanations and tell her why she's similar to that character and stuff, and then tell her. And it's like, what do you think? That's great. I want to go paint. And it's like, that's my girl. Just moving on to what you want to do.
And now you're training her to play Rocket League, aren't you?
I'm not training her. I put up the training thing, and I give her
Yeah.
the controller, I give her the headset, and then I walk away.
Okay.
She taught herself multiplication last week without knowing it.
Huh.
Hmm.
But like, she had like something that was like 5 of this thing and another 5, so she had 2 groups of 5, and she's like, yeah, I have 2 groups of 5, so that's 10. And we're like, well, that's kind of like multiplication. We kind of went from there.
Yeah, doubling.
Yeah, doubling's easy. You're pretty much 5 plus 5, but it's also 5 times 2. It's just the
Right,
thought
right.
process of looking at it as groups of this number put together.
Mm-hmm.
She's 6, by the way, for Swayze that doesn't know her.
Right.
Yeah, 6 on multiplication. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't think I learned multiplication until I was 7.
I don't know what age I was, but I remember I was in 3rd grade when we got hot and heavy into it.
I think we started doing multiplication in 2nd grade. Right.
2nd grade we started like simple ones.
Yeah,
Anything
really
times
simple,
0 is
yeah.
0. But like 3rd grade, we started hitting it hot and heavy.
Yeah.
Mm.
I still got to use my fingers.
Well, I have this app on my phone called Calculator. It's great.
Yeah, man.
No, they told us that calculators would not be usable when
You're not always going to have a calculator on you.
And then everyone has a calculator on them. Yeah.
That's what I told. I also told that anything I do will go on my permanent record. And I believe
Careful, it's permanent. So I had a Polish teacher in college when I was taking trigonometry, and she would not. We went the whole semester without using calculators.
Oh god.
So when it came to angles, it was if it's like a 51-degree angle, this is the number converted like 8 decimal places for that angle. So we were doing math like that, like 8 decimal places, and final answer round to the nearest 4th decimal place. So we had a chart to convert it.
So I never learned how to do cosine and tangent without a calculator. So I don't think I fully grasp like what those even are. Sine, cosine, and tangent.
Oh, it's
Like,
easy.
I know what they're used for, but like I don't know what the number actually is.
well, they're used for making death rays.
Right, of course.
So sine is a y-axis and cosine is an x-axis. So if you have a circle on a graph, cosine on the x-axis, cosine at 0 degrees, so just a straight line, is a 1.
Right.
And
Let's say it's 17.
so instead of moving straight up, you have to move along that curve, and that's when we had that graph. So a cosine at 17 degrees, since it doesn't go straight up, it goes at a curve. There is no like straight line type of way to calculate it, unless you have a graph like or a chart like we did. So we would say cosine at 17 degrees is 0. Probably like 1173, and that's our answer we use for cosine at 17 degrees. Then we either multiply it or divide it through the sines and tangents for whatever the problem was asking. And then tangent is just, sine over cosine.
Right.
The way you do y over x. Or is it x over y? I can't remember. For tangent. And that's just it's pretty much the slope.
So here's my question to you, right? So we all took, trigonometry, algebra, stuff like that. Now I've used algebra in my normal life, but how many of you guys have actually used trigonometry besides like maybe finding like the height of something in your real life?
Rocket League.
I work in computer science, so it happens a lot.
I kind of use it a little bit like the angles, but not the sines and cosines for building stuff in the garage.
Oh, no. I had to build a fire pit, and I calculated the amount of bricks that I would need based off of the circumference of the circle that we wanted to create.
See, I used to be a mason before I joined the Coast Guard, right? And I never had to use trigonometry or nothing. It was all by eyeball or measuring and just seeing what fit. You can measure an angle literally
Pretty much.
right there. So I've never needed that actual math to, actually do anything.
Well, I think what would be the difference between you knowing the trigonometry and you not knowing the trigonometry would be based on like scale. So let's say, for example, you needed to make 100 circles with brick that like have a fixed like length, right? So in order to calculate the number of bricks that you need, you can use trigonometry and make a precise order, as opposed to just eyeballing it and getting too much of that order and then having to return that some of that order.
Right, so it's pretty much more useful in large scale construction, architecture, and art.
Well, and that's the thing is I did do large scale construction, I'd build patios for people all the time. And how we did it is we'd calculate the square footage and then, we'd judge that we'd have to cut so many bricks and whatnot, and then
So-
we'd buy 110% to 120% of the actual amount of pavers or bricks we're going to use, and it never failed.
Well,
You
you're
just-
talking
when-
about
when you're-
you
simple
when you're
calculate
calc-
the square footage, right? So you already have a calculation. You're just not using trigonometry because you're not making a circle.
Right.
Correct,
and-
yeah.
Yeah, no circles or angles. But when you talk about area, area is all derived from calculus. So pre-cal and some parts of algebra are all stemmed from calculus. So finding the area of any sort of shape is calculus,
Right, yeah, and
along with
like,
some other
you
aspects
know,
of it. But
we did. I mean, I've had to use calculus for like equations that I've had to do on my advancement tests in the Coast Guard, but I've never needed trigonometry besides like maybe making cuts for like rafters or something like that. And it's really not been that inapplicable of a skill. Like I spent a year and a half in trigonometry in high school.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I love trig because when I took it in high school and then I took it in college, and it was like probably the easiest classes that I've taken.
Yeah, no doubt. I thought it was a relatively easy class. I could do all my homework in class and usually be fine.
Yeah.
But you know what? I never learned how to do my taxes in high school.
Taxes are easy. You just
You're not
pick
wrong.
the number and
but
then
but when
you-
you're 18, you know, and you do them for the first time, you kind of wish you learned it a little bit before you actually did it.
wait, learned what?
taxes.
Oh, taxes.
Yeah, they.
Did we leave the topic of trig?
Yeah, I guess we're on taxes now.
Okay, I
Yeah.
just have one little tidbit on that. Trig is at its best advantage when it's applied with physics. Orbits, rockets, missiles, anything that's moving in a physics problem needs geometry to fix it, and that's when it's at its best advantage.
Right. Okay.
Did Raph mute his mic?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, okay.
I'll be right back.
Sure.
Cool.
There goes the host.
Yeah, right.
I elect myself or nominate myself. Everybody say aye.
Aye.
Awesome. So-
one vote, majority vote.
Wait, what is this you're sending me?
Who are you talking to?
You. What is
There were
this?
some pictures from my eldest. The tomatoes from the eldest. The one called Person in Battle, or Logan in Battle, is from my youngest. And she drew for her friend Logan. First
Yeah.
time she met him, she decided to draw a picture called Logan in Battle. So you were talking about taxes.
Yeah.
I have a
I was just saying, why didn't, you know, like, I understand taxes now. I have no problem filing my taxes nowadays. But back in the day, like, let's talk about when I was 18 years old, you know, and I finally started filing my own taxes instead of having my parents do it, right? I had no clue what I was doing, so I just drove to H&R Block and had them take care of it for me.
the
So
thieves.
so I paid the $50 to have someone else do something insanely simple. It's not. I mean, I shouldn't say insanely simple, but you know, you find the forms. They didn't itemize it. Nothing. You know.
Yeah,
And
it's a 1040 easy because
Yeah.
it's easy.
yeah, so my first couple sets of taxes were the 1040 easy. Unfortunately, it's not that easy anymore.
Well, no, you only need the easy if you're not doing an itemized deduction.
Well, no, that's not entirely true. So, like, say you have investments or like property or anything like that, your form can no longer be the 1040 easy.
Yeah, because you have to declare those because those are massive tax breaks. But if
Or
you don't
or
own
they could be
anything,
the opposite.
that's true.
So that brings something to mind. Ralph, can we do my weekly rant? This isn't something that happened this week, but something that still gets me rattled to this day.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Go for it.
What grinds your
Right.
gears, J
It,
Mays?
it grinds my gears. There's no tooth left. It's all gums, which some find appealing. But anyways, outside of that scale, when I was working at Subway, the manager or the owner I worked for had 6 other Subways. And throughout the year, I bounced around between them, helping out wherever I can. Like I had one I always worked at, then one for like weekends, and then like the other 4, they needed help, I'd come and get extra hours. So when tax time came, it's the first time I ever went to H&R Block, and the only time I ever went. I had 6 W-2s, one for each Subway.
Oh yeah, I remember this one. Okay.
Yeah. So I was like, man, I need money. I heard H&R Block. If they do it, they give you a debit card with your money right then and there. So I go to H&R Block, and I ask them, so once I do this, there's a debit card, and I just get all the money right then and there. I'm thinking they give you the money. When the money comes in, they just keep it. No, that's not how it worked at all. Not one bit. So after like an hour and a half going through 6 W-2s and everything, which only added up to like $180 of tax money coming back to me. Not that much to begin with, but they
Right.
charged me for each W-2 plus their services, and that came out to like $160. So I was only getting like 20 something dollars back,
Wow.
and I was like, wow, that sucks. Do I get my debit card so I have the money on it at least? And like, oh no, that takes 2 weeks to come in. I'm like, what? I thought it was like right here and now. And they're like, nope. I'm like, okay, then I just want to, quit this. I'll just file my own taxes because 2 years before, I always did my own taxes with the 1040 Easy. And they're like, oh no, we already hit submit and everything is already done.
Mm-hmm.
So $180 I could have gotten back. About 160 went to H&R Block. After they misled me, I asked them a straight up question and they lied to me. And they kept 160 of that money, and I got like $20. 2 weeks later, it's like I need the money right now because obviously I do not make a lot of money. I work at Subway.
You're getting $20 back on a Subway budget. Actually, a question that I wanted to ask: why did the owner have 6 Subways that had 6 W-2s?
That's actually pretty common. Believe
It
it or
is.
not. Yeah, a lot of people
Each one is a separate business.
Yeah, so when you franchise, a lot of owners will buy more than one franchise, and make the profits off of all of them. And like I've seen it with Applebee's. Like one of the Dairy Queens that I worked for when I was like 15 was just like that.
Yes, but if I'm going to add to this, I worked at the exact same Subway that Jameis worked at. And when I've discovered that you could go to the different, various locations and get different W-2s, they're technically different companies. And if you're working at 2 different companies, then you don't have to pay overtime at those 2 different companies.
So they might have.
Nope, you don't.
So here's my question, right? Or I guess my answer to that. So if you claim that you have 6 companies, right? Don't you see that you could, possibly get deductions on 6 different companies? So I understand why they would, do that because maybe they're making a huge amount of income, and if they can claim more, they're gonna.
And they're all independently ran.
Yeah, by the same guy.
Same guy, but
Yeah,
they're
so
still
they're-
technically independent. because it's a franchise.
No, no,
Instead of
I get
yeah,
that,
it-
but if we're gonna piggyback off of the grievance of you getting swindled by H&R Block, I'm going to add on to the Subway owner that opened up 6 different companies and used to his advantage to not pay overtime. Because that's what he did, right? Like, you would work at Subway 1, right? And you'd work 40 hours, and then all of a sudden somebody would be like, "Can you come into close at this other Subway?" And you'd still get paid the exact same amount at the other Subway because you only got 8 hours there.
so but between all of them, I really did not break 40 hours in a week.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'll be honest with that because my base was like 35 hours over our Movico Subway,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just like a day off or something. Maybe I'll get called in for a couple hours to help, or if I wasn't making 30, maybe 30 hours that week, then pick up some more. There was one time though where not sure if Steve may have been the manager at that point, but they needed someone coming last minute. It was going to be overtime, and because it was last minute, late at night, um, the general manager said, "I'll pay you $15 an hour," which I was making like $8.50 an hour. So he said,
That's not bad.
Yeah.
yeah, it's like I have 35 hours, but the other 5 plus the other 2 would all be straight 15 an hour, even though only 2 of those hours was technically overtime. And 15 an hour is no, that's not time and a half.
No, it's.
But anyways,
double
I
time.
I didn't tell him, but I'm like, I just would have done it for regular price because the manager is one of my good friends, and I would have just gone in for regular pay. But I was like, I'll keep that to myself.
Yeah. Oh man, I forgot that Steve used to be the manager there.
Yeah, so
For the
at
nobody's
least-
listening, Steve is a friend of ours that also worked at the Subway.
and shoot, yeah, it was along those lines. I was gonna say, but yeah, if you worked hard and all, you were trustworthy, they wouldn't mind doing stuff like that every once in a while.
Hmm.
To help you out. But if it's spread over a bunch of them, and I'm talking about like an entire year, like one Subway only made like $22 in like tax returns because I only put in like 4 hours
Mm-hmm.
at that Subway, something like that. So it was like over the course of the year, I worked at 6 different Subways, but some of them were maybe throughout the year 10 extra hours, 4, 20, 100 hours. So it wasn't that substantial to really claim the overtime.
It almost sounds like a temp gig, you know?
Yeah, the
When
other
you work at,
ones,
like
the,
different subways.
the other ones were a temp. Like I had my main one. I'm getting 30 to 35 hours. Considered full time there. The other ones just throughout the year, small little spurts.
I just remember not liking working at Subway. It was terrible. Mainly because I worked whenever. No, wait. Did I work at the same one that you did, James?
Yeah.
So off topic, or I guess it's slightly on topic question, right?
Yeah.
So what was your favorite sub to make yourself when you'd have your like dinner break or lunch break?
Oh man.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Like
First one that-
I know you didn't follow the exact fucking shit on the menu, you know. You didn't, you might have liked a BMT, right? But there's no way you actually did a BMT. You did your own version of a BMT.
So one thing I always liked was like the roast beef and turkey. Maybe on a flatbread. Sometimes I would take the broccoli and cheese soup and put that on the sub as well. Let that soak
Oh my
into the
God.
bread,
That's next level.
Oh, that sounds great.
and do like steak with pepper jack and chipotle, or roast beef turkey, pepper jack chipotle, some veggies. That was pretty much my go-to. Every once in a while, I would do the seafood, which was pretty much just crab meat, or I might do something different. But yeah, throw that in there like with your meat. Throw the onions on it into the oven. So you cook the onions and cheese and meat all together,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes that's all you needed. We got pretty creative. Or sometimes you can open up the bread, lay out some marinara, throw on a bunch of pepperoni, and throw some provolone on top. Throw in the oven. You have yourself a pizza.
That sounds amazing.
So, well, what about you, Gemini? What did you make?
So I made a version of the. It was like the chicken bacon ranch because that was my favorite. So I would
Good.
get the chicken bacon, and then I would put the buffalo sauce all over it, and then I would just pack it with my meats. I wasn't really that crazy. Like I didn't put like soup in the sub or anything like that.
You didn't work there for that long either.
Yeah, that's true.
Uh,
Who's the boss at the one that I worked at?
Cody.
Oh, that dick. Okay. Yeah, that's why I quit, by the way. Like, it wasn't because,
There was a click there.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so this guy Cody, right? Let me tell you a story, right?
Is this your rant?
Yeah, this is my rant. It's my Subway rant. Um, so this guy Cody, he used to hang out like near the Subway, and what we would like I would see him every once in a while, and he was friends with a lot of people who I was friends with, and he worked at Subway, and Jameis also worked at Subway, and Steve also worked at Subway, and Cree also worked at Subway, and Caroline also worked at Subway. Everybody in our clique worked at Subway.
I didn't work at Subway. I think I was the only one that didn't work at
No,
Subway.
but you came in with a Burger King mask on, and I had to
That's true.
kick you out.
Did do that once. But you kicked him out. Why?
I went up. I said, "No, you're not welcome here. Get out. Get out."
But yeah, anyway, so I meet Cody, and he's like, "Hey man, if you're looking for a job, you can work at Subway." And I was like, "Yeah, you know what? That'd be kind of cool because all of my friends are there. Everyone's like, everyone seems like they're having a good time. Why not?" So I start working there, and I get no shifts with James. I don't even think we worked at the same Subway, James.
We did at Movico.
Okay, maybe it was. Anyway, so didn't get any shifts with James like for the first 2 weeks, I think, and it was Cody who was like this manager who really didn't do very much. Like he just kind of popped in, said hi, and then kind of left and did his own thing, right?
Well, maybe in the afternoons, but he ran the morning.
Mm. Well, I mean, either way, like I showed up at 3 and I had to, close or something like that, and that's basically what I saw, right? And I was usually with one of his like really like good friends. I forgot who it was.
Justin.
Okay, there he goes, Justin. Jameis,
Yeah,
you know all the people.
usually he was a morning person too.
Mm.
Well, he worked up till 5 usually.
Yeah,
Sometimes
yeah. I know I never worked alone, right? So I never got to the point where I was like closing or whatever. But yeah, so I would do my work, do the things that I had to do. But the thing is that anytime that I was doing work and Cody and Justin were both there, right? They would just like fuck off to the back and do their own thing while I'm left in the front, and I'm like, yo, motherfucker, what are these people doing? And so that went on for like a week, and then this customer comes in. He's like this Indian guy, and I tell them that like I love curries, and he's like, "Oh my god, I have a present for you." And he goes away for after I made his like veggie patty, and then he comes back, and he has a curry, right? And he's like, I made this for you since you said you love curries," and I was like, "Oh man, that's really awesome," right? Like I've never had a customer bring me anything before, and I was like, what, like 17, 18 at the time? No, 18, 19 at the time. So I was like really excited. So I sit down, like I eat the curry, and I'm enjoying it, having a great time, and all of a sudden Cody is just like, "Raph, what are you doing? Like, you should be cleaning. You should be doing this. You should be doing that. I can't believe you're just sitting down here on a break when all this stuff needs to be done. And I was like, dude, I'm just trying to eat a curry. Like, what's going on? Right? At that point, I pretty much had it because, you know, they would just make me do all the things and then they would just fuck off to the back. And then I would go home and I'd be like, well, I feel like this is not a distribution of labor that is equitable in my favor, right? So that night, I go to, there's a Starbucks right next to the subway, and a lot of people would hang out on the outside of Starbucks because that was the time where you could smoke on the patio of the Starbucks, which was fantastic. And so I'm telling everybody this, and he's like, man, you should probably just quit. He's like, yeah, you know what? I should just quit. And so I sent a text message to Cody, and I was like, I quit, love Raph, send. That's the last time that I ever stepped foot in the subway.
I remember that message. I didn't know. Yeah, it was like that with Cody and Justin. I didn't remember Cody saying stuff like you weren't that good of a worker, but at the same time, you're saying stuff where they would just go mess around the back, which not my experience with them.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like a double-edged sword right there.
Yeah, it was really cliquish, right? Like I felt like I did a fine job. I'm not gonna say that I was the best sandwich artist of all time, but I'm not gonna say that Subway is the hardest job in the world. You know what I mean?
No.
Like it's very easy work. It's not like you're in a situation where there's just massive amounts of people. There's no rush at Subway.
You're not making critical decisions.
Yeah, you're just making sandwiches.
It's all speed. I love it though.
Yeah, I mean, to each his own, man. You know, it was just that was the thing that really irked me.
When y'all were working there, was the whole sandwich artist thing a big thing?
I don't
that
remember
and Michael Phelps
that.
and Jared.
Oh, Jared, that was before we found out of the atrocities he had committed.
The atrocities.
The atrocities.
We all thought that Jared was a great guy. All he wanted to do was eat some Subway and lose weight.
Did you know that Steve kicked me out of that store?
No, why? What happened?
So Steve became manager. At the same time Steve became manager, I was also in the process of moving up here.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, I was having my anxiety develop and all that. So there was points where the anxiety would happen, and not really knowing and being well informed, it was real difficult for me. So one time it was 5 o'clock, my shift was over. There was a bunch of people. Steve and this girl Lillian was there, like this older Hispanic lady.
Mm-hmm.
And I just flat out dipped. So I'm like, you know what, it's 5, and I had a lot of stuff in my mind going, and Steve sent me a text saying, like, you got, because we thought it was something else going on. He's like, you need to get this checked out, because I thought it was like an equilibrium in my ears. No, it wasn't that. And so next thing I know, I'm getting told I'm going to the new Subway that they opened up, where this girl Sid was the manager, and I was pretty much working underneath her as like a assistant manager. But she said, like, yeah, you're pretty much my assistant manager. But then she told like my wife and her other friend that was a manager that I wasn't. So in essence, I was assistant to the manager.
Assistant to the regional manager.
Assistant to the regional manager.
Pretty much. So I found out later that it was that Steve requested I move, mainly because since we were friends and because of that incident, he didn't want us to not be friends and other incidents like that to happen. To preserve the friendship.
Yeah, I guess it's hard when you're above somebody, but you're also their friend. You end up doing a lot of preferential.
No, it was absolutely a great decision on his part.
Yeah.
Because I made a really bad move. I did something disrespectful to him and also to someone that is a manager.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that does make sense. but I would say that was kind of a dick move that he like kind of went behind your not behind your back, but he didn't come up to you and talk to you about it. You know what I mean?
A little bit, but I can see his reasons. Not a great animosity between us.
Yeah.
I mean, me and Steve lived in a car for 2 months together during
that's
summer in
right.
South Florida. We developed a pretty strong bond during that time.
Yeah.
By the time that happened, we both were homeful, not homeless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a wild time.
It was so wild. How did we ever survive? Me and
Yeah,
Steve.
how did you sleep in summer in Florida in a car?
So let me tell you our routine. Since we were both closers on like Friday and Saturday, we were both closing up to 11. Rest of the week, it was usually at 9 o'clock the other person got off. So we get off. Blockbuster was nearby, and you can get like 4 movies for $20, or if they're popular, 3 movies for $15.
Hmm.
Or or 3 for 20 if they were popular. We would close the store, hang out in the back, make ourselves sandwiches, watch movies on my laptop, smoke a bunch of weed, eat our food. We would go out through the back, walk the store, and go into his car, which was in the parking lot in front of the Subway, and go to sleep. And we had the window blockers up to keep the sun out. Cody and the general manager, Jeremy, would take pictures of us passed out in his car. We would wake up, go inside, go into the back, wash ourselves in the sink, get a sandwich for breakfast, and then go about our day, doing whatever we wanted, smoking a bunch of weed and drinking, go to the pool, hang out, then go into work, and work until closing. And they had no problem with us camping right outside for 2 months.
Wait. So you guys didn't have a proper shower?
Sometimes we did. Sometimes we could sneak into my mom's house or Steve's house. And Steve's family had a pass to the pool in their community, but you only got 20 passes with a guest, so we had to spare them. So sometimes when we go to his pool, we would use their showers. Other than that, it was the pool at that hotel we would hang out at.
You know, I don't really remember you ever saying, "Hey, man, you mind if I use your shower real quick?"
That's because you were in Texas.
Yeah,
Oh,
you were already
that's
gone.
right. That's right.
Yeah,
More than likely.
This was way after you were gone.
Okay. Well, because I remember Steve was living out of his car for a while there.
I just remember Steve not wearing any shoes.
I did one night with him because I didn't want to be at my house for whatever reason, and I was like, yeah, being a vagrant in a car sounds like a fun idea, and we ended up like sleeping on top of the roof of Outland.
So the way that went down, Steve had his car in the shop because it was being repaired. He got an argument with his parents. He didn't have a place to stay.
Yeah.
So I was like, just stay at my place. Try to hide it from my mom and whatever. My brother told, she found out, got an argument. So now I didn't have a place. So our first night like that, we pretty much walked through Gnarly's neighborhood. And there was a lake in there, and we fell asleep on the grass by that lake. When we woke up, there was 2 cops there, and they kicked us out. And luckily, they didn't search us.
Are you talking about the lake by the park?
In your neighborhood.
Yeah. I know, but like the lake by the park or the lake right by where my house was.
It was in your neighbor.
There's like 10 to 15 lakes in that neighborhood.
I'm not sure which one it was.
Fair enough.
So we walked to Subway, and we commenced our duties at Subway. And at some point that same day, Steve got his car, and it was like, "Hey, you need a place to stay? I have a place to stay. here's a key to the apartment. Make sure you pay the utilities, which was filling up the tank.
Make sure you give me gas money. I need it
and we did that
AC.
until I was arrested and had to live at my mom's house. And then, like a month later, or within a month, Steve was back at his parents' house.
Yeah.
But it was a pretty hot summer.
Was that before or after Steve aligned?
That is pretty mixed. Because up to that point, I want to say there was a dating that they were dating. Then there was like a few weeks me and Caroline dated.
Really?
I want to say, yeah.
When?
Then
After
and then afterwards, like right afterwards, Steve and Caroline got back. I want to say he was still in a car when they got back together. And I think she pretty much straightened him out.
Yeah.
To the point that he would join the government. My goodness. I begged him to join the Navy with me. Like, look, they also have like people that do art and graphic design because Steve loves to do art.
No one in the Navy is a graphic designer.
Yeah, who graphic
I was
designs for the Navy?
Dude, I was looking at all the different jobs that they have. They have jobs like that. They
They
have
might
people.
have someone who does public affairs that might get a chance to touch Photoshop.
They have people like in the band because Steve also liked to play music. Nothing. And then Caroline, and then now he's in the Coast Guard, and I'm like, really, Steve?
Bro, he's doing some secret shit.
I know. I had to speak on his behalf for his clearance.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
He is one level above me in clearance level.
Yeah, he's got a good clearance.
Wow. That's fancy schmancy.
Yeah. But my dreams of the Navy ended when I got arrested. And I'm like, I'm not going to go in after an arrest record or end up as a cook, which is ironic because I love cooking.
Yeah, but you don't want to do it for a job.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't like cooking in the Navy or in the military in general.
Yeah.
No, probably not. But that's okay. In my year of drug court, got the job I have now, worked my way up the ranks, met my wife while on probation and all that. Kids, family, dogs. I got deer in the backyard. And a 12-pack of Bake Light.
Bake Light.
Dang it! That was supposed to be for Guess What I'm Drinking.
Oh, yeah. No, we didn't do that.
So,
I was trying to relate to current events through the taxes, but we blew past that topic.
oh yeah. So Lidl has a brand of beer, or maybe they sell this brand of beer called Big Light, just BIGG Light.
Mm-hmm.
At first, I thought it was called Beer Light, but it is $8.99 for a 12-pack, and the beer actually tastes pretty good compared to like a Coors or Bud Light, Bud Full.
Bud Full.
Yeah, for an American Pale Lager, like the other ones, it's actually tastes pretty good.
Mm.
And it was $9 for a 12-pack, so I'm like king of the house right now.
Yeah, that's not bad. I mean, here I am drinking Stella, like a fancy pants.
Well, Raph, we still could have guessed what you were drinking. Is anyone else drinking?
Give me like 2 seconds and I'll be drinking.
All right.
Drinking Claws right now.
Oh, that's right.
We're
You
supposed to
spoiled
guess.
that.
Like,
He mentioned it earlier. And when he passes out, we don't know what color panties he's wearing on the couch because he's colorblind.
Mm.
Oh, that reminds me. I had an apprentice that's colorblind. He had to sign a progress report, and he signed it in purple. And I'm like, hey, man, it's only black or blue ink. He's like, sorry, I'm colorblind. And I'm like, oh, pull out your pens. He pulls out his pens. I take the purple one. I'm like, never use his pen, and threw in the trash.
We drinking now.
Okay.
Okay, 10 questions, yes or no's.
Okay.
All right.
Is it a rum?
No.
Is it a hard liquor?
No.
Is it a claw?
No.
Damn
Is it wine?
No.
All right, so it's definitely a beer.
Is it a Puerto Rican beer?
No.
Okay,
Oh, you
Travis. By the way, this does have to be alcoholic. We're 5
Yeah,
questions
yeah, it's
down.
alcoholic. It's
All
alcoholic.
right, so we know it's a beer. 5 more
How many-
questions.
All right.
Is it-
5 more questions.
Is it United States domestic?
No.
Is it a German beer?
Yes.
I know what it is. Hofbrauhaus.
Oh,
It is Hofbrau.
Oh, you got the
Hefeweizen.
company right.
Hefeweizen.
Yep.
All
got
right,
me.
we
You got
That's
did
a
it in
tasty
7.
beer.
The man knows.
Hefeweizens are one of my favorites.
Yeah, this beer. So Swayze came here on a port call to visit, and I was like, "All right, man, it's Puerto Rico. We can do anything that you want to do. It's your port call. You want to drive across the island and go explore some crazy caves. You want to do this. You want to do that. We can do whatever the fuck you want. You know."
I was like, I want to get some beer and play some video games.
We literally went and bought a bunch of beer and snacks, and then just drank and played God, what was Totally Accurate Battle Simulator.
It was a good time too.
That was a great time.
Probably like top 5 port calls for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
That's what's up.
I mean, it doesn't trump Curacao or
Yeah,
Colombia.
yeah. But there's something to be said about, pulling in somewhere and then just having a place to chill and do whatever the fuck you want. That, and after being on a boat for so long, high-speed internet is like,
Oh, it's great.
yeah.
How do you get internet on the boat?
You don't.
You don't.
Ah,
No. We have like military internet, but like you can't really. It's not like you're hooking your personal computer up to that. You can really only use that for work for the most part. I mean, you can like send emails back and forth, like to your friends and
You used to be
family,
able to
all
get
that.
on Amazon Video, and now you can't.
Aw.
wow.
There is actually a video, like a website that you can go to.
Yeah,
Like
old
that is-
Bing.
No, that is government sponsored.
Hmm.
That has like a bunch of like documentaries and just like random movies. The selection's not great, but you can get to that from the
Old TMT.
yeah.
Privacy Man.
They've got like oh, have y'all seen? There is a website that has like old, like it looks like an old TV that just has like TV shows from like the 80s on. Maybe it was 70s.
You sure it's not Nick at Night?
Oh my God, dude. Okay, so it's called My Decade TV. They have 70s, 80s, and 90s. Jeez.
They have 90s? Oh man. That's gonna be interesting.
Why did I put that in? But you pop it up, and it pulls up a TV from that decade. And then like you gotta hit the power on it.
You gotta do the whole thing.
Yeah, it's pretty dope.
It gets staticky, so you have to bang it a little bit. Like, oh man.
You gotta go like channel up, channel down and shit.
Oh jeez.
You can have it just play commercials.
Oh, the commercials would be kind of cool. I'd see commercials from back in the day. That would be interesting.
This is a Bud Ice commercial.
Ooh, Bud Ice.
Yeah, man.
That sounds terrible.
I'm watching the 90s one right now. I'm waiting for the Zima commercial.
I've
What
never
about
seen-
Crystal Pepsi?
Oh, God.
I wasn't old enough for Crystal Pepsi. I never saw that. Although I did try New Coke at the Coke Museum in Atlanta.
Uh-huh.
It's pretty good. I don't know what everyone was being mad about. I don't get it. New Coke's not that terrible. That's right, I said it. Everybody from 30 years ago is gonna like throw a conniption. Did you miss Steve? What happened?
One of the videos, I guess, it got taken down because the idiot, I don't know, ran into copyright issues. But it was just like, this video is unavailable.
Huh. Yeah. Okay.
But it was covered in static.
I bet you that pretty much takes care of Retro Corner, which is one of our topics, which is pretty awesome.
I just came back. What was retro?
There's a website where you can go in and watch whatever you want.
I threw in
from
dang
the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s, even commercials.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So, Rep, the video that was taken down, it was like the hour-long video?
Yeah, it was the hour-long one.
Okay, I thought it was the 7-minute video.
I'm pretty sure that one's taken down too in some respect.
It's still up there.
Oh, then never mind. It's fine. It's totally cool.
All kosher. It's cool.
Hopefully that one stays up. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. I used the stock photo or not the stock photo, but the stock image. No, sorry, video. That was totally good, and then it moved over to the next one because I didn't look at it. It just auto played, and that was it. So
Gotcha.
I had to go to copyright school.
Hope you learned your lesson.
I know.
Yeah.
It was terrible. I did a terrible thing.
Yeah.
Dude, my fucking AC's been broken like all day.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, it's just starting to working again. Well, they were doing some work on like the building. I guess our building has like a cooling tower. I don't know what the fuck that is. You know, but they're like, we're working on the building. We're working on the building's cooling tower.
Yes, sir.
We need to liquid cool the building.
Oh.
We overclocked the building. We need to liquid cool it now.
Yeah,
By the way, you might
some
want to
Gen
get
4 heat sinks on there.
We switched it to Ryzen. Ryzen 9 now. It runs too hot. You can cook a steak on the roof.
So, I found a pretty interesting person online.
I'm right here.
I know you're there. This guy's probably more interesting than you, Gnarly.
Oh, I want to meet this guy.
Well, he's dead now.
Oh.
What a tease.
So I wanted to talk about people that are famous but not famous. Like they did something like huge impact on the world, but they're just the person behind it that's unknown.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the guy for this week is I hope I'm saying it right. Shune Sugihara. Chiune, and then Sugihara. I found him from GeorgeTakei.com and read up on him on Wikipedia. So apparently, he was like a Japanese consul for Lithuania during the World War II.
Okay.
And what he did, since Lithuania had a huge population of Jews, was he would just go and write visa travels and just on a train just toss them out for everybody.
Huh.
Like he did almost 6,000 of these.
Wow.
And because of that, you know, he's known for rescuing 5,558 Jews during the Holocaust by doing that, and they are able to escape. Not only that, since then he was honored for his achievements in Israel, like given like one of their highest honors. Back in I can't remember the date, but because at that point in time they did a lineage of all the people he saved and all their children and grandchildren, it amounted to 100,000 people.
Wow.
From the 6,000 he saved, a population of 100,000 came from that.
Wait, how much do you have to multiply in order for that to be a thing? Hold on a second.
Go ahead and do the math. Don't worry, it doesn't include trigonometry.
No, because you have like, okay, so you have 6,000 people, right? And let's say all of them have 3 children each, right? It's 18,000. And let's say all of them have 3 children each. That's 54,000. So that means that they have to have, on average, 6 children per of that original 6,000. And then they would also need to have 6 children average. That's a lot of children.
Yeah.
Just saying. And this is in a span of about 70, 80 years. I mean, maybe there's one more layer on that, because I only did 2. But I feel like there's not. I mean,
There's not. I'm scrolling through trying to find where it said it, like just to get a year. Well, regardless, like, you know, he did like a huge thing during there, risked his life and the life of his family. Go and do this, and he was originally in Lithuania to pretty much report stuff that the Soviets are doing,
Mm-hmm.
and mobilizations of Germany and whatnot, and report back to Japan.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean that's a wild accomplishment. That's I had no idea that guy existed. But yeah, good on him, man.
Yep, it is Shiune Sugihara.
Shune Sugihara.
Yep.
Yeah, that's dope.
ChiuneSugihara.
Hmm. Okay. That is interesting. I had no idea. I'll come up with another random figure.
Oh, go on George Takei's website. He has a thing of like list of people that had huge impact on history but weren't really known.
Huh. Okay.
And I saw that guy riding on a train saved 6,000 Jews by just throwing visas out the window.
Wow.
So I saw that. I'm like, okay, let me read about this guy a little bit.
Interesting. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I definitely want to talk about this new development. It's part of current events, and I wanted to see if I could get your takes on it. But have you guys heard of the autonomous region known as Chaz?
No, I saw you put that on the list, and I wanted to know what Chaz was.
Oh man, does nobody know about Chaz?
No.
Okay. Oh man, this is probably my favorite thing. Okay, so CHAZ stands for Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, and it's a section in Seattle that has been taken over by protesters. Now,
I heard it was Antifa.
yeah,
That-
yeah. So it's basically Antifa, right? But in order to generalize it, it's going to be protesters. I mean, we could switch it up to Antifa to make it, I guess, a bit more accurate. But it's basically a bunch of people, right? They started protesting because, as you know, the George Floyd thing, and it's really unfortunate. But so they're protesting everywhere in the country, and they protested in Seattle. Only in Seattle, what they ended up doing is they kind of sectioned off like a six block area that kind of shape is a bit shaped like a T. And they forced the cops out of the area, and they took over the police station. And they formed their autonomous zone, right? And they're calling it the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. And for some reason, the cops are doing nothing about it, right? So,
Well, that's because they have cops that are down, and also because it's too dangerous to put them in at the moment.
yeah, that's true, because what ends up happening is once the cops like leave the 6 block area and they've declared it an autonomous zone, there is a group of people that came in. I think it was called the John Brown Gun Club or something like that have decided to help out these people. So now they're all completely armed. They've barricaded the section off that is theirs, and they've they're completely autonomous, which is well, not completely autonomous, as you'll find out in a second, but they've claimed autonomy, right? And so they put out a list of demands. Basically want the complete abolition of the police force and the court system, and they want it replaced with mental health services and some other stuff. But my favorite thing is that this happened in the span of 3 days, right? So within the first 24 hours, they decided that they wanted to be virtuous people, and they wanted to feed all the homeless. And so they gathered up all the food in the area, and they put it on a table, and they asked the homeless. They told the homeless, "Come on in. We will be your shepherds. Please eat from our bountiful harvest." And the homeless people ate all the food. And so now, since they have eaten all the food, they don't have any. And so they started tweeting out, "Help, help, we don't have any food. If you do bring food, please make sure it's vegan, because there's some people who are vegan and they can't."
Oh, goodness.
Choose the beggars.
Right? And so that was within within 24 hours, right? From the second day, day 2, there was a rapper named Yaz, or Raz, something like that, like Raz, and he started giving everybody his mixtape, and as you do. And as soon as he started giving everybody his mixtape, he decided, hey, the police aren't here, but there still needs to be law and order, because that's a very important thing. So what he did is he got a bunch of his friends together, and he decided patrolling the city, or the autonomous zone. And so now they're calling him the Warlord. So he's now the Warlord Raz, and he now controls all of the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone through force. And there's tweets and videos of him basically, or his crew going in, and it's like, "We are the police now," and basically telling people not to graffiti anything or do things to the city, or to the region, the zone, as it were, to Chaz. And yeah, so that happened. Day 3, they decided we don't have any food, and there are no vegan options at the moment, and we've decided our mom's credit cards are not going to pay for pizza indefinitely, so we should probably make our own food. So what they did is, there's a park in Chaz. And this park is a pretty arable lawn area with lots of grass. So, very, very nice region to yield crops. And so they get some plants. And they decide that in order to grow things, they need to have topsoil. So they got the topsoil. And they put cardboard on where the grass is.
Mm-hmm.
And then they put topsoil on the cardboard, and then they put the potted plants in the topsoil on top.
How much topsoil was on top of the cardboard?
I want to say about 3 inches. It was like a circle of about, let's say, like
No,
10 yards.
3 inches deep is not enough. Cardboard is good for killing the grass or any plants underneath and then being composted, but you want at least 6 inches on top.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not entirely sure, because I just saw a picture of it. So, I didn't, I'm not getting the precise measurements. But it's like this nice circle. Maybe it's about 10 yards across, right? And then they decided to put the potted plants, and then they placed it down. And they left the plants in the pot, because that was their home. And when they are ready to venture out, they will venture out into the topsoil, and hopefully they'll survive. Um, but yeah, so now you have a bunch of topsoil in a circle, and then a bunch of potted plants on the topsoil, and that's what they've done. That's what they decided to do, and so to get the gist, it's 10 yards wide, right? Like the circle, and they want to feed a population of about 200 people. So I don't know about you, but I feel like that's not enough.
Nope.
Like, especially if you want to make, some some tomatoes or something.
And they all grow in waves. It's not like continuous. So you might have waves of everything coming in and then nothing. That's why you need larger land, and you stagger when you plant them. That way you always have consistency.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I heard that they were also charging business owners a protection tax or protection fee.
Oh, yes, I forgot about that. Now, this one's unconfirmed because there are some people in Chaz who've said that they have not done this. But I would imagine that the people in Chaz would not, publicly announce that. So, essentially what they're doing is they're saying, you are free to operate in the autonomous region known as Chaz, but you must pay us $500 in order to operate in the region. Consider this a tax, even though we're anarchists. The irony is definitely not lost on me. It's pretty hilarious.
We're going to tax you for protection.
Yeah.
Pretty much from against us. We will not ruin your place as long as you pay us money not to.
Pretty much, yeah. It's a wild ride, this Chaz. I'm following it extensively because I can't wait to see what's going to happen next.
My brother's out in Seattle, like a few blocks away from it. He said mostly it's like peaceful protesters.
Okay.
I mean, they most of it are protesters. Protesters make up 95% of anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
The other 5% with hidden agendas and rioters and looters. The thugs.
Yeah.
So the thugs are just, herding the sheep.
Okay. So you're saying
that's the way I see it.
Okay. Yeah. So you're saying that the thugs have taken over the protesters, kind of just here you go.
Yeah.
Do the thing.
Yeah, they're pretty much answering what the protesters want, but in a form that is just as oppressive as before.
Yeah.
What happens when they decide to shut off all the power and all the water to that section?
That's what I was thinking. I was like, why hasn't this been done yet?
What happens when Trump lives up to his word and says to the mayor and governor, if you don't take this section back, then I will. And he actually sends in actual troops, not SWAT members.
I don't know 100% he can do that legally.
Well, technically, they declared secession from the United States, which is illegal.
Yes, but they don't want to just go in guns blazing because that would cause.
Nope, they don't. But what do you think Trump's going to do? He doesn't care what you think of him. He's going to do what he thinks is right and going to get the job done. He's pretty blunt about his tactics.
Yeah, but I don't think he's that dumb. Never mind. I don't actually know.
I don't think it's a matter of intelligence on that.
What's up?
Gnarly, what do you think that the National Guard and the military are going to be called to just put a stop to this rebellion known as Chaz?
Maybe. I mean, I think it'd probably be easier to just cut them off on utilities.
Yep.
Yeah.
That'd be the best first move.
Yeah.
I mean, because at that point, when you say I'm going to secede,
mm-hmm.
you are saying I'm no longer part of the United States. I am another country. I'm another territory. I'm not part of the United States. When you say you're going to secede, that's what you're telling the United States. So what does the United States say? Well, treat them like they're another country. They don't have their laws. We don't have any treaties or agreements with them, even though it's still the United States. They can say whatever the hell they want.
Mm-hmm.
Until it's they're separated by law.
Well, but this is the conundrum. If you recognize Chaz as an autonomous region, then you are by default recognizing them as an autonomous region. So you're giving them what they want. Whereas, let's say, for example, you do not recognize, but then you just go in and, squash the protest. You just say it's just a protest, and then that's it. You know what I mean? So I think that's why they haven't cut the water and power yet. Because if it were me, I'd be like, oh, you want us to see? That's fine. It's totally up to you. We're cutting off your water and we're cutting off your power. Anybody who does not want to be in this situation can freely retain their U.S. citizenship while you guys can have a wonderful time in Chaz. Just let us know when you want to negotiate your water and power contracts. Oh, by the way, we own all of the things, so don't worry about it. We'll give you a good deal. We promise. That's how it would deal with the situation. But I feel like, politically speaking, it's not viable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it can go either way. But then again, Trump did say that Antifa is a domestic terrorist organization, and they can treat it as, even though there are civilians in there, there is a terrorist organization holding a city hostage. Because they only let people in that live in that city because they check IDs.
Oh yeah.
And run it.
They do stop and frisk at all the checkpoints.
Yep.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting.
And they can just say Antifa has taken over a city. It's being run by domestic terrorists.
No, the warlord Raz.
You know what? You only got to day 3. By day 3, they try to start a garden, which was an utter failure from the beginning. They should have pulled all the grass out to begin with,
Right.
and saved the cardboard for later. But like, it's a mess. At first, I was all up for them, like kind of taking control, and then when I kind of got more details on how it's being run, and that it wasn't the protesters, it was a different, like an actual organization.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, that's a little bit different.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, it's an interesting time that we live in. I feel like this would definitely not be happening. Not even 20 years ago. No. I'm sorry. Take that back. Not even 50 years ago. Because think about it this way, right? The last time that like a style of this insurrection happened, right? This was the best thing I could come up with was when Argentina decided that the Falklands were theirs, and so they just took it over. And
The what?
The Falkland Islands.
Okay, I thought you said the Balkans. Like,
No. That's
I was about to say that's in a whole different continent across the ocean.
yeah. The Argentinians decided that that's where that's Argentina now, all right, and the British wouldn't have it, and so they went to war over it. So like I feel like that is the traditional response for any armed insurrection, which with the people there, that's what they're doing, but they're treating it with kid gloves at the moment, because I think that the mayor of Seattle and the governor know that these people don't know what they're doing, and they're like, we'll just wait them out, see what happens, and then once they're tired, they'll just go home.
Yeah, they're pretty much they think they're barricading themselves in, when in reality they're just doing a siege.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, we got y'all in there. Y'all can think you're in there and safe, and I guess the people can come and go as they please. But it's like, overall, your resources are being sieged.
Mm-hmm.
Just a very modern version of it.
Yeah.
We're not throwing feces and other harmful stuff into your castle, or hot water, or anything destructive. we're just cutting off all your resources.
What's hot water gonna do?
Yeah, maybe hot oil.
Yeah, oil, anything they put in a cauldron and launched over there and burned the people.
Mm,
Oh,
yeah, I don't know.
It
Do they do
is
that with Tribute
it's a
shows?
different kind of siege. There's no walls.
Yeah, they just have the barricades put up.
That's all it is. It's just a border. It's just a line, and that's it.
Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting. I can't wait to see what happens.
I know. Hey kids, come gather around. Honey, make the popcorn.
Yeah, yeah, pretty
No one,
much.
no one say anything.
Well, you said your brother lives there. I didn't know that. So does he have any other like news? Like what's going on?
I haven't talked to him about it, but my wife was talking to my mom,
Hmm.
and she was like, "Oh, I can't believe they're doing this over there." And she was worried about my brother because everyone has guns and stuff, and he was trying to tell her like everyone over there is actually on for the most part peaceful. The people that have guns are the ones at the border. He didn't say that, but I just know that from the news, and they're just there to secure the barricade.
Mm-hmm.
But he said for the most part, he looks over there and it's like they're all peaceful. It's not like a huge riot and anarchy.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the underlying thing. What we talked about before is there's still dirty business going on. Taxing the people for protection and stuff like that.
Yeah, the extortion racket is pretty bad, right? But at the same time, it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, we don't know if this is true, but all the information that we get, because like they're kicking journalists out, right? Journalists can't actually go into the city. Everything that you get is from live streams, right? So all of those things that you get from the live streams, it's all done within the people who are in support of Chaz. So you're only getting one side of the story, and you have to infer, negative things that you see, and they're only going to show
Yeah.
you the things that they want to show you.
Yeah, same with China. They're only
Yeah.
going to show you what they want us to see.
Mm-hmm.
North Korea, other places. Our own media does that to us.
Yeah.
They don't show us what we want to see. They show us what they want for us to see.
That's true.
Something like that.
That's true.
Anyways, it's been a good cast. I think this time much more less chaotic.
less copyright infringement.
Yeah, let's copyright.
Much less. Also, I wanted to get back to that person I was talking about. I sent you guys a message, but from Wikipedia it says in 1985, the state of Israel honored Sugihara as one of the righteous among the nations for his actions. He is the only Japanese national to have been so honored.
Wow.
The year 2020 is the year of Shinue Sugihara in Lithuania. It has been estimated as many as 100,000 people alive today are the descendants of the recipients of Sugihara's visas.
Wow. It's not bad.
So with all that, y'all want to play some Rocket League?
Yeah. I'm down for that.
I know you're already playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear it, like the little clicks.
Well, I saw on Steam when it said Gnarly is playing Rocket League.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's time to end this stream. See you later, everybody.
All right, later.
Peace.